predecessor auditor. Why do you think the two auditors should meet and discuss matters? There are so many reasons that we can provide here, but we are just going to mention a few. Predecessor auditor. The reason why an incoming auditor will meet with the outgoing auditor, rule number one is that it is a professional courtesy. It's a professional requirement which promotes professional courtesy. Professional courtesy between professional men. Courtesy between members of the profession. Members of the profession. So it goes like this. When you communicate with your former auditor or the former auditor who was auditing the company where you are right now, it is a courtesy call. You are making a courtesy call and maybe you are discussing matters and you're behaving professionally as professionals. So because we are learned fellows, we have maybe professional guidelines, we have professional behavior. We cannot just go ahead and get maybe a client without maybe discussing the matters with the previous auditor. But the previous auditor is very, very important to you as an incoming auditor. This is because, one, he will provide you with information about the fees. And so that information is going to be used as a basis of fixing or negotiating, fixing the audit fees. Audit fees. So the outgoing auditor, who we are calling here as the predecessor auditor, he can tell you how much he was charging, and from there you can be able to go ahead and decide how much you are going to be charging. He can inform you about the audit risk. So you use him as a basis of maybe assessing the level of risk in the company. Assessing the level of audit risk. So do you want to know which areas are highly risky when you're auditing? The only person who can provide you with that information is who? The outgoing auditor. He can provide you information with areas that maybe you don't understand. Previously, when we were discussing lesson 1, when you're obtaining the client's confidential information or we are obtaining the client's information, we said the source, one of the sources is a predecessor auditor. So he forms a source of evidence. So are you collecting evidence concerning something? That is one of the source. For example, if you are collecting information relating to related party, that person will go ahead and provide you with that particular detail. Source of audit evidence. But again, we also said whenever you are collecting background information, obtaining the knowledge of the client, if this is the first time that you are meeting the client and you want to understand the client, the only person who can provide you with the information is a predecessor auditor. So we say to obtain understanding of the client. To obtain client's understanding. So if you wanted to understand your client properly, that guy will go ahead and provide you with that information. But there are so many other reasons. You can say this guy can provide you with areas where you are supposed to engage the work of an expert, areas where you need to put a lot of emphasis, areas that requires high emphasis. For example, in the audit of technical areas. So he can provide you with those particular details. And so he's very, very good for any particular auditor. He can also provide you with information concerning changes in the company. So if this is your first time that you're coming to this company, but the company has had changes in the recent past, then the outgoing auditor can tell the incoming auditor of any changes in the client's operation. So we say changes in the client's operation or changes in the client's environment, changes in client's operations. So the client's operation changes, for example, maybe the directors. Maybe the directors have done what? Have changed in the recent past. And if they have changed, we also need to go ahead and do what? And note that particular part. So two things we have discussed so far about communication with the previous auditor. I've told you about the procedure for communicating with the previous auditor. We are saying seek permission. If not granted, withdraw. If granted, seek it in writing. Maybe inform the predecessor auditor. Then go ahead and maybe tell him to request for what we refer to as consent. If the consent is not granted, do not accept that engagement. If it is granted, you can go ahead and meet and discuss a number of matters. This one is what we refer to as the importances of that, because it's a matter of professional courtesy between professional men, and this one is a basis of fixing the audit fee. This one means assessing the audit risk. He can provide you with the details of areas that are highly risky, and he forms the source of audit evidence whenever you're collecting evidence, and he can provide you details about the client changes or maybe client's understanding. And we have also said that he can provide you with information on areas you need to put a lot of emphasis, as well as any changes, for example, management structure that have occurred in the company. This is not the end of this particular part of communication with the previous auditor. Communication basically has three parts. One is the procedure, the other one is the importances, and the other one is matters to be discussed. So what do you think we are supposed to be discussing? Me as the incoming auditor and him as the outgoing what? As the outgoing auditor. We need to know matters to discuss.